Hey, hey, hey. Time for another Out of This World story from our space. I heard my cheating wife's conversation with my daughter planning her affair trip the day of my birthday. I, 56 male, have just discovered that my wife, 50 male, has been cheating on me and has been doing so for 10 plus years. A couple of days ago, I was making my way through the kitchen when I heard my wife and daughter outside in the backyard talking about me. My birthday is in a few weeks, so I figured that's what they were talking about and decided to eavesdrop if they were planning me a surprise party. I should mention I'm autistic and the very idea of a surprise party repels me. If they were planning me a surprise party, I definitely wasn't turning up. What I heard next shocked me to the core.
So what are you going to do about Dad's birthday if it clashes with your weekend away with Danny?
I'll just tell him it's a business trip that we can't afford for me to miss. You know, he'll believe anything I tell him.
I guess if my boyfriend was that gullible, I'd cheat on him too.
My heart stopped receiving messages and I just stood there like a fool. Pretty sure my jaw hit the floor too. I couldn't believe it. My wife of 22 years. My wife of 22 years whom I've cherished with all my heart. The mother of my children has been cheating on me. And what's worse, my daughter knows all about it and supports her for it. I got out of there as fast as I could, got in my car and just drove. I had no idea where I was going. I just had to get out of there. Eventually, I found myself sitting by the local river. I seriously considered ending it all and driving into the river. But at that moment, my phone rang. It was my son. I didn't answer it. I was far too emotional, but in that moment, I had an epiphany. What if my kids aren't mine? The question burned in my head and wouldn't leave. I decided then and there I wasn't going to be the fool anymore, and I wasn't going to take the easy way out. I called my son back, and he told me he'd be staying at a friend's for the weekend. Good. I wouldn't have to hide anything from him, just my soon-to-be ex-wife and daughter. I decided I wouldn't confront my wife because she would just deny it, and then they'd work even harder to keep me in the dark. No, I had to be smart about this. Subtle even. When I got home, I pretended like everything was normal. I made a quick stop to a local grocery store and picked up a few items so it wouldn't raise suspicion. I went up to my office and logged onto my computer. The first thing I did was find a good PI, so they could find the dirt I needed. Second thing to do was to send away for paternity test DNA kit. If my kids are mine, I'll have no problem paying her child support. I'm not a heartless man, but if this comes back with negative results, I'm cutting them all off. I've booked a PI, and I'm arranging to meet her and discuss what I want. She's going to follow her and build up enough information so I can divorce her. In the meantime, I'm going to keep my head down and not let on that I know. Edit. Just had a chat with my son. Haven't told him anything and I don't think he suspects anything, but I found out who Danny is. He's not my wife's work colleague. He's my daughter's boss. My son met him at my daughter's work and told me he seems like a pretty cool guy, and my son plays football with his younger brother. I'm going to be sick. How can we help this poor soul, community? Help him out. Professional Volume 93 says, "What a dreadful thing to find out. Betrayed not only by your wife, but your daughter also? My heart goes out to you. Do not confront your wife. Do not let her know what you know or how you know it. Gather evidence. Do not leave the family home. Get a lawyer. Do what he says. File for divorce. Separate finances. Change all your passwords everywhere. Close joint credit cards. Move important documents to a safe place. Learn the 180. Get an STD check. Do not have sex with your wife. Get a DNA test for your children. Get individual, professional, non-religious counseling to help you cope and to help make decisions. Do not drink or do drugs. Get exercise, especially cardio. Go to the gym often. Get out with friends and family. Get busy with work, hobbies, or sports. Inform your family. Good luck." Next up, PM me your last dream says, "I'm sorry, but your daughter sounds like a POS. DOP responds, "She's always had a mean streak, but I figured she would mature with age." Samster BD says, "Hey OP, none of what I have experienced comes close to being betrayed like you. 22 years marriage? That's almost my entire lifetime on earth. Shake my head. However, I need to share something my therapist shared with me last year. And it has honestly made a lot of difference for my mindset going forward. I noticed that you said no matter what, you are still going to feel like a loser. That is true and false. True in the sense that it will feel like a loss. However, it will be false in the sense that you will be free of living under a lie. Here's the thing. A false bliss based on ignorance is fragile. At any moment, your world can come crashing down. It also doesn't leave you with any meaningful control. On the other hand, knowing can hurt like a B word, but it also gives you some tools to work with. You can make a plan, choose what to execute, regain purpose. Actions will always give you more satisfaction than thoughts. Now you can do more than you could before you learned the truth. Think about it. If you didn't find out, wouldn't you be the loser? Sure, your world would be intact, but would it really be any better for you to keep being cheated on and it being condoned by your own flesh and blood? I honestly don't think so. By becoming aware, you have already eliminated one subset of your problems, ignorance. Now armed with this knowledge, you can move forward, make some crucial decisions, and use the element of surprise on your wife. You have the opportunity to take back control of your life. Use it. Go scorched earth. Burn the bridges. Bring down the skies on her ungrateful behind. We are rooting for you. As long as you find a way to live happily again, you haven't lost. Don't give them the satisfaction of watching you wither. Freaking own your life. My thoughts are with you. Spiritual Lettuce 680 says, you should disappear on your birthday. Silverwolf chimes in, don't do that. This is when she will be with her affair partner. You don't want any of them to think something is off. Hopefully the PI can follow her wherever she is at that weekend and gather all the evidence you need. Don't let on to anything until you have her served. Hopefully it'll work if she does. See if your location enables suing for alienation of affection. If so, have him served at work at the same time and when your daughter is there. If he is married, be sure to simultaneously deliver to her a copy of the alienation of affection suit against her husband. This is all pretty sick. Your wife is a total untrustworthy slut, and it appears her daughter is a clone. Perhaps the PI can learn if your son has known as well. If so, cut all three totally out of your life. Knowing and helping is a cover you. Cold Brew has one quick thought. Nah, join her on her business trip. Moving on to the next story. My mom cheated on my dad. Recently discovered my mom cheated on my dad with her now husband. My parents divorced when I was 4 years old. They had 2 kids, my older sister and me. My dad had said she had cheated in passing with her now husband when I was in high school, but being a teenager and not understanding much about infidelity, I didn't really pay attention to what he said. My dad died when I was 28 years old, a couple of years ago. He never found anyone after my mom. In fact, although he had his own business and loved my sister and I, he always seemed so lost. I used to think that's just how he was, until I learned about the affair this year. My mom used to badmouth my dad growing up, saying he was abusive. She also got with her now husband the same year my parents separated, but me being so young at the time, had no idea what was going on. Anyway, I guess I'm just so heartbroken for my dad. He wasn't lost like I always thought, or maybe him being lost was one of the impacts of my mom's infidelity. What he really was, though, was walking around with a broken heart. That just kills me. He even said when he died, "I ruined my marriage," with tears going down his face. I should have figured it out sooner, but I didn't. It was my mom who did all the bad-mouthing, not him. In fact, he would address her as your mother, but she would only call him by his first name and would address her now husband to my sister and I as your dad. How messed up is that? I should have known. I wish I could hug my dad and tell him it wasn't his fault, that cheating is selfish, and if she was unhappy, she could have just left him without having to sleep with another guy. I've been cheated on before, and I know how excruciating it is. I will never understand why people do such a painful thing to someone they say they love. I will never look at or feel the same about my mother again. The same goes for her husband. He moved in on my mom and contributed to hurting my dad, and now me too. I really want nothing to do with either of them. They don't know I figured it out, and I'll never tell them. They don't deserve to know why I'm going to distance myself from them moving forward. I'm writing this here because I can't tell anyone. To tell you all that cheating breaks your kids' hearts too. My dad was my best friend and I miss him terribly every day. Now I know he was the strongest man I have ever met. He kept this pain from my sister and me our whole lives and never tried to get back at them ever. Yet my mom and her husband have walked around with this dirty secret pretending they are soulmates. No, not soulmates to me. They are evil human beings. My dad may have never found anyone, but I loved him so much and he is forever my hero. Strongest heart I've ever seen, and I didn't even know it at the time. Time for some reactions. Quinn Oalog says, my father is 85. Last year I was able to sit down with him and talked about it. I told him he was a good man and he had been wronged. He cried. We have been extremely close since then. Summer Ice Cream 3893 says, I'm glad that you figured out that your dad was an honorable man And no doubt, your mom's bad-mouthing of your dad wasn't to relieve her guilt, but to justify and condone her cheating in her mind. She and her affair partner rewrote their history to you and your sister. It is karma that you have discovered the truth and now want to distance yourself from two cheaters who broke your father's spirit and took his kids. When she is on her deathbed, she will not have regret about what she did to your father. Professional Pilot 45 says, "So very painful. I am sorry for this terrible revelation. Cheaters just have no idea, or maybe they do and don't care, of the fault lines or fractured relationships that can literally move through generations of family members. Tragic. I affirm distancing. It'll give you the space to deal and help avoid triggers. I'd also encourage therapy for you to help navigate what you're going through. Really focus on bettering yourself and healing up. Do it in your dad's honor and in memory of the good things he left in your life as a legacy. Good luck, OP. Healing and strength to you." One more story. My 24 male girlfriend, 25 female, emotionally cheated on me with her abusive ex last year. We reconciled, but I still want to break up with her. She is my first relationship, and so when I discovered she had been texting her ex behind my back, when we'd barely started dating, I wasn't so much angry at her as I was determined to keep her. But the guy manipulated her into taking him back, and she dumped me in order to show her loyalty to him. We split relatively amicably for a few months, but then the ex ghosted her and she came back to me. We reconciled within a couple of weeks. She'd been seeing a therapist ever since then and has been making genuine progress as far as the mental state that led her to cheat goes. I'm 100% sure she'd never cheat on me again, and had this not happened, I would have said this was the girl I want to marry. But now, I'm just apathetic towards her. When I don't talk to her, I forget she even exists. At the same time, I feel guilty because she's really trying and we both want to make things work. Like, my brain tells me to stay, but my heart tells me to leave. Whenever I listen to my heart, I make bad decisions. First thought comes from too old for this nonsense. Only you can decide if you can live with being her second choice. DLomac1 says, "She broke the relationship. You can put it back together, but it will never be the same. For both of your sakes, it's time to move on. It's obvious from what you have relayed. The love you had for her is gone." 3-hour nap thinks, "It sounds like you tried to reconcile, but you can't get past her betrayal. That's not unfair to her. It's a consequence of her many bad actions. Also, why do you say that she was manipulated? Is that really what you think happened? Or are you just repeating her justification for her cheating on you and dumping you to be with her affair partner? Instead of thinking of her as a victim of his evil machinations, remember that she was a functioning adult who decided to betray your trust, destroy your relationship, and screw another man. Every day that you spend with her is another day that you feel like this. Give yourself some peace." Last thought coming from Killer Kamadas. "If you are basically apathetic towards her, this, by the way, is almost indifference, which is the opposite of love, then break up with her."